In this video, I'm going to share some of the important tips for PMP exam. My goal in this video, or maybe we can make series, is that to give you these tips in like 10 to 15 minutes so that you can go and answer it. Now, these tips will be directly oriented toward the exam point of view. If this question come, what will you do? If this question come, what will you do? For example, if the question come, you need to do audit. The question is that which plan or which things you are going to look into that. Are you going to look at the documents? Are you going to look at the plans? Which thing is going to help you when the question says that I need to do audit, right? That is the question here. So the question is saying audit. Now, this can be risk audit, it can be quality audit or procurement audit or the entire process audit. Whatever the question is asking, if it is asking for risk audit, it will be risk management plan. Now, this is a very important thing to understand. Risk report, risk register, they have no information about it. But risk management plan guides you the process, how the audit should happen, what should be in the audit process. So when we talk about the audit thing, it will always be, and the topic is risk, it will always be into this way. Okay, and I hope that can help you. Like, if it's quality, then quality management plan. If it's procurement, then it will be procurement management plan. Nothing else. This is the important thing. This is something that you can look into that. Okay. Quality management plan, procurement management plan. And if you want to audit the entire project, then of course, project management plan can be that. Audit is checking the effectiveness of the process. Here, what does audit actually mean? Audit is checking the effectiveness of process. Are we following the right process or not? Are we following the right sequence or not? Are we going through that step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4 or not? That is basically what audit is. And we need to follow the audit process for this thing. I hope that makes sense to you. In the PMP, audit is a very important thing. You can have a question into that. Now, next tip for you is that the question says, and pay close attention to this thing because many people get confused into that thing. The question says a team is having a difficulty. They are geographically dispersed. They are having a difficulty on communication, on understanding the issue, that it is taking too much time. What should we do? Now, when the question I said, I never mentioned anything about the budget. I only mentioned about that they have a challenge, the communication gap is there, things are happening. Most of the time, we just assume that the cost may be issue. It's not mentioned in the question. It is not mentioned in the question. So whenever the teams are virtual, whenever the teams are geographically dispersed there, try to collocate them. At least even for one time, that's okay. Even for one time, but put them together at one place so that they can discuss that thing and work into that way. For example, you are watching my videos and you have been listening to me. Even if you are my premium student, we are having coaching call every single week. But let's say for one time we get together, we meet each other and we have a cup of coffee. The relationship that we will have will be entirely different. I can give you example. So there are students, like I have a lot of students in Saudi Arabia, particularly because I have only been to Saudi Arabia one time. So that example goes there. We had a tea party, or like at Tim Horton, we had a discussion last December. And many of my students came to meet me: Fiaz Hussain Shah, Tahir Khosa, Bilal, Surinder, and so many other, like 50 plus students came. All of them are certified PMP. Today, they came to meet together. Now, the relationship I have with them is entirely different now as I had before. They were my student before, they were my student after, but one time co-location can help you a lot. So what we can do, we can have a kickoff meeting, and that is why multi-billion-dollar companies, they do kickoff as an in-person kickoff. They get together a big hotel gatherings and they worked into that way. Co-location is a very important thing. You will see a lot of questions in the exam that relates to collocation. Okay, next thing. Now, you are a project manager and you have made a risk management plan and you made a risk register. Okay, now the question comes, a new risk has happened. What will you update? A new risk has been identified. What will you update? Many time, people get confused in that. They try to update the risk management plan. Risk register, REGISTR, yeah. Risk register is updated whenever a new risk is identified. Not risk management plan, not issue log. And even when that risk happen, when the identify risk for which you had a plan, that risk happen, I need to update the risk register. Please note that there's a purpose of the risk register. The purpose is you identify something and now it will work along the way. I don't want that I identify the risk and now it has happened, I will put it into issue log. No, if your plan is effective, I will update the risk register. I will update the risk register. Okay, important thing, not risk management plan. I would love to say that. I do say that in my coaching calls also. Risk management plan has no risk in it. Risk management plan has the process how the risk should happen. By the way, I just wrote an article on the risk topic. I'm gonna put it in the description of this video. Do check it. That will give you the context of the entire risk process. Important. In that article, I explained it with the topics, like with the example. So maybe check it out. It can help you. Now, let's say this was an up. This is our third point. A point, something is identified before happening. A risk has been identified. Okay, you made a plan, you handle this thing, risk register. Something you never identified, you never have a plan, or the plan is not effective. Now, this is an important point here. Three things. You did not identify, did not identify, no plan for it, or third thing, plan was not effective. The plan is not effective. The plan is not what we needed to do. The plan is not what was according to it. Now I'll update the issue log. Issue log have all the problems into it. Issue log has all the problems into it. So when something, I would say the entire thing in one line, when something happened that was not planned, it goes into issue log. Something that was not planned, you need to raise a change request to handle this, and you need to use management reserve. The purpose of the change request is actually to use the management reserve, because when a risk is identified, you put the contingency reserves. You do not need change request to handle contingency reserves. Okay, so we can look into that way. Issue, any problem, raise a change request. Change request is approved by change control board. You handled it into that way. Let's talk about these 2 points also. Okay, first of all, contingency reserves versus management reserves. Okay, contingency is you put aside money, time, whatever you can do. You identify the risk, you identify the problem that this may happen. You have extra money or extra time to handle that identify risk. That is the purpose of contingency reserve. Now you have already identified it, you got it approved. When you want to access those contingency reserves, when you want to access or use those contingency reserve, you do not need any change request. I'll repeat, you do not need any change request to handle these contingency reserves. No need at all. Now comes the management reserve. Okay, management reserve is for those things which you have no idea at all. You see, it is said that your project is not damaged by the things that you identify. Your project is mostly damaged by the things you have no idea about into it, right? So management reserve is the money with the management that they put aside to handle anything that can happen. Like for example, COVID happened, we never knew that this can happen. We want to handle the risk, maybe reallocation or for the medical bills, the management money will be used. Management reserve is not the part of your cost baseline. It will need change request to be handled. You need a change request to handle your management reserves. Okay, contingency management. Contingency does not need change request. Management does need the change request. Contingency are the part of baseline, approved budget, management not part of it. Just to visualize, you go to a trip, let's say you are going on a Jeep or any car, you have one extra tire. That one extra tire is your contingency reserve. If your car get punctured or something happen, you can handle that thing. Contingency reserves. Management reserves are if two tires get punctured. Now you did not plan for it. You need to call maybe the emergency services, whatever. That is management reserve. I hope that makes sense. Now coming to the change request. We discussed 2-3 times about the change request. How to handle a change request. You see, we have predictive, we have agile, and we have hybrid. Let's first discuss agile. Whenever the question says you are working in an agile environment, a customer requested to change something. A customer requested something that can increase the value. That can increase the value. What will you do? Please, in order to understand the agile, we need to go back to the 4 values of agile. And I do recommend to my students, if you are watching, I consider you as my student, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, respond to a change over following a plan, working software over comprehensive documentation, individual and interaction over processes and tools. These 4 values you need to memorize, that because they can come in your exam, and you need to memorize them. If you don't know by heart these 4 values, this will be very hard to solve PMP questions. So you must know these 4 values. So the second value says respond to a change over following a plan. The first value says customer collaboration over contract negotiation. I need to provide value to my customer. I need to give something to my customer that will help him, to propagate, that will help him to move forward ahead, that will. So whenever a change come in agile, it goes to product owner. A change come, all the changes goes to product owner. Okay, no sponsor, product owner. He will put into the product backlog. Now he will not stop any change. Even if he feel that change is not needed, the change goes to product backlog. Who puts it? Product owner. Not Scrum Master, not team, not customer. Product owner put into the product backlog. Once he put in the product backlog, now what we called grooming or reprioritization will happen with customer. And if that thing has more value, it can go into sprint. It can go to the highest value next sprint. Very interesting thing. If it has so much value that it can make your product obsolete, it can make the current sprint obsolete. Product owner can put into the current sprint, but he need to have a discussion with the team, because the velocity is the maximum they can do. They can remove something from sprint and add something. Or if it is so critical, product owner has the authority. I'll speak slowly. Product owner has the authority to cancel that sprint. Product owner can cancel even that sprint if that is needed for that requirement. If that is needed for that thing, he can even cancel that sprint. Very important, very critical for your PMP exam. Okay, that's predictive. In other words, that's agile. A change comes, it goes to product backlog, like we accept all changes. Now, predictive and agile, predictive and hybrid in both cases. Predictive and hybrid in both cases whenever a change is requested. Like another important key point, if in the question it is not mentioned it's a predictive or a agile, you will always consider it's a hybrid project. Always. You will always consider it's a hybrid project. You will never consider it's a predictive or agile. You will consider hybrid, which means that a change must be raised formally. A formal change is raised, put it into the change log. Anyone can put in the change log. Then this change goes to project manager. The question can call it as a project leader. The question can call it a scrum master. The question can call it a project manager, project coordinator, project whatever. He's a project manager. He's the head there. The change goes to project manager. He does the impact analysis. Now, anyone can does the impact analysis, how it is impacting scope, schedule, cost, risk, quality, customer satisfaction, procurement, like not just on triple constraints, scope, schedule, cost, other constraints also. He does the impact analysis, and after doing the impact analysis, if he feels that change is needed, interestingly, he can reject the change and then communicate it according to communication management plan. He can accept the change and move it to change control board. It's a very interesting thing here. He has the authority because it's his project. If he feels that change is not needed, reject it, communicate it according to communication management plan. But if he thinks that change is needed, he send this impact analysis to change control board. He cannot just implement it. He sent it to change control board, which consists of sponsor, other senior management. Project manager can also be the part of change control board, but the change goes to change control board. Now they reject the change or they approves the change. They can reject the change or they approve the change. Of course, if they reject it, I need to communicate to the person who raised the change request or according to communication management plan. If they accept the change, I need to do it accordingly. That needs to be done. Communicated. Once change is approved or rejected, I need to update change log, communicate it, and then rebalance the project. Okay, of course, implement after implementation. Now we may have new baseline, scope, schedule, cost that needs to look into that. So this actually consists of a lot of things. This point, that how the changed moved into that thing and what you need to consider. Okay, concept of minimum viable product or minimum marketable features. It can be called as prototype. It can be called as pilot. Okay, so sometimes now agile, the biggest reason we do agile is because of its incremental delivery. The reason we do agile is that it can provide delivery part. Like customer cannot wait for the entire thing. We give him some of the parts and we worked into that. We provide him something, he look into that and worked into that way. So one of the key concept of agile is minimum viable product or minimum marketable feature. The purpose of minimum viable product or the purpose of minimum marketable feature is to have those things, minimum things in the product that we can show to the customer or we can put in the market, get the feedback from the market and improve into it. Very important thing. What the market will provide to the market, get something from the market and improved into that thing. Very important thing for your PMP, that whenever the customer says we don't know it will work, it has worked in the previous organization but it will not work here, make a minimum viable product. Okay, now minimum viable product can be a part of the project and then the entire thing, but it's important that it has those features into it. Very critical for a PMP. Okay, now one of the most important thing that happens, how we implement Scrum or Agile. When you want to implement Scrum, first implement some of it. Again, concept of Agile, like you implement daily stand-up, sprint review, sprint retrospective, and then you move into it. Like the part of it, you implement the pilot, a small part, and then you implement the entire thing to prove to the stakeholders that it is needed in the project. Okay, servant leadership mentality. I cannot overemphasize on this thing. This is the core of PMP. This is the core of PMP. What do I mean by core of the PMP? You need to know, as a project manager, you need to identify training need assessment, TNA, training need assessment of your team, even your customer, sometime sponsored. You need to train, coach, and even mentor all these people. I am putting it again, this is your responsibility to identify training need assessment of your team. Everyone understand, there is no question into that, but the question come when the people think, okay, do I have to do it to customer as well as to sponsor? Yes, you need to do that. Customer and sponsor, this is your responsibility. SIPOC model, one of the, like, from where agile came from lean work on Toyota production system, supplier, input, process, output, customer, end to end, from one end till other end to end system says that start from one step till other. If your team is trained, your customer is not trained. If your sponsor does not know about agile, that's your job, you need to do that. This point I hope is clear. Now coming back to the team point. Okay, now coming back to the team point. At the start of the project, this training things goes into this way. Let's say more of a Tuckman ladder: forming, storming, norming, performing, adjourning. Let's say this is a Tuckman ladder. At the start of the team, at the start of the project, the entire team need to be trained. The entire team need to be trained at the start of the project. Entire team need to be trained on a certain thing. There is no doubt into that the team is new. I need to set into that. I need to provide the trainings. I need to make a team charter. Team charter, another interesting point here, is can also be called as working agreement, social contract. Guys, I'm trying to give you a lot of information, like the flow. You are drinking from hose, whatever comes to my mind I give it to you. Like team charter consists of values, vision, and other things. I'll put the next tip as team charter. What was the tip number? 9. Okay, 10th, team charter versus project charter. Just so that this technique is called parking lot. My mind was trying to explain you the team charter. Then I said, okay, let's first go into the above topic. Then I'll come to that. This is called parking lot. You park the idea for discussing. So you make the team charter. Okay. Team charter, working agreement. As a project manager, at the start, you need to provide that training to the entire team member. But as you move forward, let's say at this stage, okay, at this stage maybe individual training needs are needed. Okay, we provide those training, we provide those trainings to the team member. We provide those trainings so the team members can go through it, team member can understand it, team member can work into that. This is your job. Never, I'll put it in the red words if I can get a red pen. Never fire team member. Always provide training to team members. Once you have provided training, we worked into that way. Okay, that's important for you. Have a servant leadership mentality. I use analogy of a mother or a father to consider yourself when you are considering about the team. Acha ji. The next one is team charter versus project charter. So project charter is the most basic document on which the project stands. Okay, it talks about the high level scope, schedule, cost, quality, key stakeholders, key risk. It's like the foundation of your project. Your project charter is the foundation of project. You cannot change anything into it. It's a fixed document. If you change the charter, the project gets changed. Okay, it talks about the project. That's it. It has nothing to do about the team. Whereas the team charter, which can be called as the working agreement or a social contract, it has ground rules, which rules and regulation teams is gonna follow. What is the vision, value, how we are gonna handle the conflict, like those emotional intelligence things of those nature, it will come into that. Okay, those conflict, how we are gonna handle those conflict into that, how to take a decision. This is the part of the team charter. So please do not confuse with the, because I, in the last 1 week in the 2 coaching call, people were getting confused with the team charter and the project charter. So I thought let's add it into that. Team charter talks about how to handle the conflict, how, what are the ground rules, what are the agreement. And team charter, unlike project charter cannot be changed. Team charter is made by initially by the project manager, and as we move forward, it can be updated. Okay, it can be updated. Let's talk about a little bit about the conflict management strategies. So there are multiple conflict management strategy. I'll go few of them here. Whenever the question says avoid, this means you are passively documenting it. The other person may never even know that you actually have a conflict. The other person may never even know you actually have a conflict. You are just in your brain, the conflict with them. The other person may not even know that there is a conflict, that you really feel this way, or things of those nature. It's a passively, other person does not know. Avoiding. It is a worst strategy for a conflict handling. Smoothing. Smoothing is a lose-win strategy. This other person does know the conflict, you discuss with him, but you say, hey, I understand the conflict is there, but we will delay, we will discuss it later. We will discuss it some other time. So you delay the conflict. Very important. You delay the conflict for some other time. Okay. So in avoid, you don't even talk about the conflict. Here you talk about the conflict, but you delay it for the certain time. Okay. The next one is compromising. Compromising, again, it's a lose-lose situation. Here, both parties, I would put both parties give up something. Both parties give up something. That is your compromise. Both parties are standing here, two-step, two-step. Both parties give up something. That's your compromising. I hope these keywords are helping you here. Okay. The next one is forcing. Now, forcing, you took the decision. You took it for other person. That's, you are doing it. You force your thing inside it. You force your thing. Okay, I want to do this thing. You force them into their throat. That is forcing. You are taking the decision. Okay. By the way, forcing can be even you discuss, you listen to the problem, but you took the decision. Maybe the time was a problem or whatever it is, but you took the decision. Whereas accommodating is you gave up, you agree to their point. Okay, whatever you are saying, let's do that. Let's not go into the conflict. Whatever you say, I will be doing that. That is accommodating. Okay. Okay. Next, forcing, accommodating. Then the most important, problem solving. In problem solving, both parties discuss. Both parties discuss that and agree to something. It can be the same solution or both solution, but the question will not say somebody give up or somebody did not give up. No, no, no. This does not happen in problem solving, collaboration, confronting. That is an important thing here. Okay. I have given a lot of information about the team topic here because team is the heart and soul of PMP. Then I cannot overemphasize on this part of, actually this can be considered as 12, 13 for the but I'll just put it into the 12 topic. 12 roles of Scrum, product owner versus Scrum Master versus development team. So product owner, whenever there is something that talks about the value, what is the most valuable thing, which thing we should be working, which thing should we be working, this is the most valuable thing, we need to work into that. That is the job of the product owner. That is the job of the product owner. He defines what is the most valuable thing. By the way, if you are watching on YouTube so far for last 30 to 40 minutes, please do subscribe it so that you don't miss anything, and click that bell icon so that you can immediately get notification. And if you want to join my program, you can contact me. My number is 848-338-0545, so that me or my team make sure you really become PMP. Going back to the product owner, he defines what is the most valuable thing, which thing we should work right now. Okay, this is the thing I want to work onto it. Shall I work on this thing or shall I work onto that thing? What is the most valuable thing? What thing gives us the value in the project? What does the customer want? Product owner, he defines it. Okay, how much time it will take? Time, effort, like story points. Story points are the effort required to complete a user story, right? User stories are a requirement, effort required to complete that. Team will define. Team will define that. Scrum Master is like a grease in between. I like to say product owner is one gear, development team is the gear. Scrum Master makes sure that gears keep on moving. It's a grease in between. I hope that makes sense to you. Role of a Scrum Master. Then 3 artifact or major artifact in product backlog, sprint backlog, and product increment. The entire Scrum or Agile moves along these 3 documents. Product backlog. Product backlog is a list of all the requirements, that have been prioritized. Okay. Product backlog is list of all the requirements that has been prioritized. All the requirements. Okay. A, B, C, D. All the requirements that have been prioritized. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All the requirements that have been prioritized, put it into the product backlog. Okay. All the requirements by high value, high risk. So like we use Moscow techniques to prioritization. Like what happened, product owner collects the requirement from the user story, he collects from the sponsor and from customer, he collect the user stories, then he use Moscow techniques with them, prioritize them by high value, high risk. We get all the requirements by high value, high risk in the product backlog. Then from product backlog, in every sprint, team defines what will be the velocity of the product. Velocity is how much work you can do in one sprint, how much things can you, team defines it. Okay, so according to that, they take work from the product backlog. Let's say there are 10,000 story points into it. Team says we can do 100 story points in one sprint. They will take those one sprint. You will get a sprint backlog. Every single sprint will have their new sprint backlog, their own sprint backlog. You will start working into it. This will become sprint goal. When it is agreed, you start working it into the sprint. Once the sprint is over, that is 1 to 4 weeks, normally 2 weeks. In the sprint review, with the customer, according to their, like, what happens in sprint review, according to our definition of done, a checklist. When something is completed, I show it to the client check it according to their acceptance criteria. Okay, so I'll discuss that as next point after 14th 15 point, DoD versus acceptance criteria. Here 5 events. I don't want to forget anything because I don't write things, I say it whenever I feel these are important things. I plan to make it 5 minutes, but it is whenever things are coming, I just want to share it with you guys. So what have you learned so far that's best for you? Put in the comment. I would love to know. Okay, so product increment. when the customer accept it according to their acceptance criteria, whenever they accept it, accepted items ready for release goes there when they have accepted it. Product backlog, sprint backlog, product increment. At the end of sprint review, if something is incompleted, rejected, or new thing, it does not go to sprint backlog. Every sprint, like sprint backlog will have sprint backlog 1 for one sprint backlog 2, sprint backlog 3, and so on and so on. So every sprint will have its own backlog into that way. Okay, but there is one product backlog, one product increment. Now let's talk about 5 events of sprint. First of all, sprint itself is an event 1 to 4 weeks. Normally it is 2 weeks. Okay, 1 to 4 weeks, normally it is 2 weeks. That is the first event. Then sprint planning, where what we discuss, product backlog. From product backlog we make sprint backlog. Okay, then we have daily stand-up. Daily stand-up is 15 minutes, same time, same location. We discuss what you did yesterday, what you are going to today, any roadblock, impediment. We discuss those information radiators. Then we keep on doing work. At the end of the sprint, we have sprint review. That consists of 2 parts. Demo, where those user stories which according to my definition of done is completed, I show to the client, and client according to their acceptance criteria, if they think that's good, it goes into the product increment. If they reject it, it goes to the product backlog. Once sprint review is done, we have part 2 of this thing, which is grooming. So here, this is the best time when client can give the requirement, they provide the requirement, we took those requirement, reprioritize the product backlog is reprioritized, and we have product backlog for the next sprint. And at the end, we have sprint retrospective. I called it a lesson learned meeting. Here, team look inside what they can improve, what are the things that will work into that way, they will look into that way. Sprint, 1 to 4 weeks, sprint planning. It's where we plan for the sprint. Daily stand-up, where we share the progress, nothing more, just discuss the progress. Many times people get confused about this question. They try to resolve the issues in the daily stand-up. No, the purpose of daily stand-up is to discuss what you did yesterday, what you are going to do today, any roadblock, impediment, highlighting the issue. It does not have issues in self. We will, if you want to have that, you can have a follow-up meeting after that. Okay, and then sprint review, where we show the demo, and then grooming, and finally sprint retrospective, lesson learned meeting. I understand I'm trying to give a lot of content to you guys because I want to make sure this videos become the best videos for which you can learn every single thing about PMP, right? So if you want any other things that I did not cover in the video, do put in the comment. And if you still haven't subscribed, do subscribe and click on the bell icon. Okay, now let's go to the definition of done. Definition of done is a checklist. Okay, it's a checklist which team uses. It's a checklist which team uses. Team want to make sure that these things are present there. They want to make sure, okay, this is there, this is there, this is there, this is there. Okay, once they have that checklist, they start working into it. Once they feel, okay, this checklist has been 100% completed, like I have 10 things to do, all 10 things are done, then they consider user stories completed. They show to the client, they show the customer. That is definition of done. Acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria is again checklist that client have. It's the checklist that client have. Client says, okay, this there, this was done, this was done, this was done. This is the checklist. Both checklists are there, one for client, one for team. You can consider it more like a verified deliverable. This is accepted deliverable. Internally checking, externally checking. That's how the things work into that. Since we are in Agile, let's discuss information radiator. So we have 4 information radiators. Main, Burndown chart. Okay, Burndown chart basically is like that. It shows how much work is remaining. Okay, burn up chart, how much work is done. Okay, sometime you get a question in the exam. The exam says that, like, suddenly the line is coming down, 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 suddenly it has up. or it is going up, 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 suddenly it goes down. So what has happened here? Okay, so spike has happened here. The scope can be added or scope can be removed. Such things have happened here in burn up or burn down chart. Okay, so spike can be there. The question can actually point what happens at this point. You just put it, spike has happened, work has added or removed. I do recommend you make one burn up or burn down chart by your hand, because so that you will never forget. And when you are making it, why don't you add, like, what does it shows, where does it shows that scope has been removed, scope has been added, things of those nature. Then we use task board. It simply shows you the status of the progress. Okay, and then we use Kanban board. Kanban board is a task board with work in progress limits. Okay, so let's say if I want to identify which is the bottleneck here. Okay, let me put 3. This is A, B, C, D. 1, 2. Which is the bottleneck here? Okay, the bottleneck is where the work is stopped, where you cannot have the flow system into it. So here bottleneck is your this point. It does not shows, like, although we have less story points here, less story points there, but here where we cannot give more work, that is your project bottom line. We need to look into that way. So this is a very important thing. We have covered a lot of content here. Okay, 16 tips we have covered. Let's go with few more tips. I wanted to stop, but let's go with few more tips that are very important. Resistant stakeholder. Okay, this is a very important thing. If a question shows that there is a resistant stakeholder, what you will do with him? Please understand, resistant stakeholder is a person who has high power and high interest. If I put power interest graph, power here, interest here, high power, high interest, he is there because he's resistant mean he's already interested. And if you put in the stakeholder engagement matrix, you have a column unaware, resistant, neutral, supportive, leading. His current engagement level is this. You want him to this. So what you need to do, you need to manage him closely. You go and talk to him. You understand his requirement. You understand what is happening there, which things are needed. You talk to him. You try to improve those things. Very critical. Okay. Then the question, communication management plan. This is very important. I like to say it 4 hours of communication. Right information at right time to right people to have right impact. Whenever the questions talk about who needs the information, when the information is needed, why they needed it, how the information can be stored, which type of information will be written, verbal, virtual, every single thing. Right information at right time to right people to have right impact. Every single thing will be the part of the communication management plan. Which language we are going to use, how we are going to communicate, which tool we are going to use. This becomes the part of your communication management plan. Very important. Okay. Acha, many people get confused between stakeholder engagement plan versus stakeholder engagement matrix. You see, stakeholder engagement plan is a plan. It talks about how to engage the stakeholder or what are the strategies required to engage the stakeholder. That those tangible strategies required to engage the stakeholder. Whereas stakeholder engagement matrix is the part of the stakeholder engagement plan, which looks at what is the current engagement of the stakeholder, unaware, resistant, neutral, supportive, and leading. What is the current engagement level of the stakeholder? What do I need? Like, stakeholder engagement matrix is a part of a stakeholder plan, and we will put it into the stakeholder engagement plan. It will tell, okay, Amir is a stakeholder. He is resistant. Currently, I want him supportive. Now, how I'm going to do that? The strategies that required to do that are the part of the stakeholder engagement plan. are the part of the stakeholder engagement plan. This is an important thing to look into that way. So I hope that makes sense to you. Stakeholder engagement plan and stakeholder engagement matrix. What is the difference between them? Okay, when call comes me to my WhatsApp, my camera changes from autofocus to normal. Okay, that's important. Okay, SPI or schedule variance and CPI or cost variance. SPI, which is earned value divided by planned value. CPI, which is earned value divided by actual cost. It should be greater than 1. If it is greater than 1, it means that it is within the control. It is within the limit. We control this thing. For all your project, we need to make sure SPI CPI is greater than 1. If that is good, we're good. You don't get a lot of question in the exam, but I need to know SPI CPI, and then sometime if you need to calculate new estimate at completion is this formula. TCPI, to complete performance index, work remaining, fund remaining, like more work, less fund. It should be less than 1. So difference between CPI and SPI. CPI, cost performance index, how we are doing cost wise. SPI, how we are doing schedule wise. To complete performance index, that management check, can we complete the work within the time or not. The last tip, I guess, let's compile it. There are so many things I want to share, but I don't want that the video becomes so long that you don't even watch it at all. The most important thing is you need to understand all the plans, project management plan, what happens in each plan. Okay. So in order to understand the entire things, initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and control, closing. These in initiation, the project gets started when project charter is approved. I need to know what the content of project charter is. Once the project charter is done, then I am the project manager. Then assumption log, then stakeholder register. These are the first 3 things that happens in the project. Then you make a plan, you decide which type of the project is going to do, you do how the project is going to happen. Okay. In execute, you work into it, you identify the issues, handle those issues, you raise the change request, you do the work, you do real work. Okay. In monitoring and control, you review progress. If change is needed, you raise the change request, you handle all the changes. You see, here the deliverable, let me give you deliverable journey. Charter is approved, plan is made, here deliverables are produced. This deliverable goes to control quality, where the internally team check the deliverable, it becomes verified deliverable. Then it goes to the client check it according to scope baseline. Once the client says, okay, deliverable accepted, it goes to closing. All the deliverables are accepted, you get approval from sponsor. Very important. Once approval is done from the sponsor, then you close the project. Once sponsor gave you approval that this is good, you can close the project. Now we are in closing the project. You write down the final report. Your final report is done. You update OPS, EFs, and you worked into that way. I hope these 21 tips were effective for you. I actually gave more than 21 tips, nearly 60, 70 tips. Go through this video. I would recommend watch it at least 3 times and put in the chat box, in the comment box, what are the 3 lessons you learned from it. By the way, if you are preparing for PMP, this quick book, like it's like $9 to $10, you must have it. If you are my student, you will get it. Otherwise, you can buy it for $9 to $10, right? Just like a cup of tea or coffee. You must have it, right? This helps you a lot for your preparation. And if you still haven't subscribed, please do that. And if you haven't joined my program, I don't know why not. You see, I'm an obsessive person. I try to find ways how to connect you with more and give you more content. This is one of the example of it. Join the program so that you can have access to everything, plus the early access of videos like that, so that you never miss anything. I hope you find it effective, and I wish you best of luck. Bye-bye.